Alright, here at the supermarket, don't usually have a full kitchen, gonna take advantage. Gotta buy some ingredients before I make lunch today. Q&A, first question. Casey asks, going from a rec player to a poker pro, what were the hardest adjustments you had to make to get over the hurdle? So my first 625 hours weren't as a pro. So I knew once I moved to Vegas in 2015 that I was definitely a winning player, because 625 hours is a solid sample size. That was mostly during grad school, and it didn't really matter. For one, the games were soft and everything was going right, but it didn't really matter if I had a losing day, a losing weekend, because it was different financially than not being in school and just playing poker. So there was a lot less pressure, and I happened to be doing well and be playing well. And then in 2015, when I moved to Vegas, I knew I was a winning player, but if I had an obstacle, it was probably hours. I played the first year, I made more than I needed, and I wasn't really hours dedicated at the time like I am now. So the first, or it was like the final 40 weeks of 2015, but that first calendar year, I realized as soon as it ended, when I was looking at my stats, that like, I'm not doing anything else. I could have played twice as many hours in 2015 and I could have about twice as much money. Like, why am I not doing that? And then I made a dedicated effort starting in 2016 to play 40-hour weeks. So the hours were lacking the first year. I guess that's my answer. Matthew asks, what are the biggest stakes you have played in a cash game, and do you ever play any other casino games? I played 5-10 once, so officially based on blinds, that's the biggest game I ever played. And other games, not other table games, I used to sports bet a lot, and it's just getting like less and less each year. I remember, what, 2021, I think I had like four like season long futures bets in the NFL. Then I think last year I had like maybe 5 single game bets through basketball and football, and a few I've thought about this year, but nothing I've put the bet in this year. So that's getting less and less, but that's it. No other table games, blackjack, UTH, nothing like that. No slots, nothing like that. Boatman asks, what is your study routine like? Thoughts on doing an episode like other poker vloggers with hand histories? Any plans to take shots at 2-5 when the game looks good? Do you think your win rate would change at 2-5 versus 1-2? All right, the study routine is mostly during play now. I did that video, link at the top, the stairwell video. I talked for like 10 minutes about my study routine. What were the other questions? Other poker vloggers with hand histories. You know, it was never supposed to be part of the channel. And for one, I do it at Trooper Thursday occasionally. Also, a bunch of people I thought were asking for it, and my Vlogmas series last year, I put not just 5 of the best lag hands I ever played, because most vloggers play a balanced style. They don't really do that. They don't really like target one hand, try to get it to fold as hard as they can, even with multiple barrels. I thought those were 5 of the best lag hands that I'd seen from any poker channel, and just nobody cared. So just for like a handful of people really wanting hand histories, I can't put it up. Most of the viewers don't care in the least. Those were some of the worst views I got on videos since the channel started. There were more questions. Take shots at 2-5. It's really more so if there's a wait. I don't like waiting. I'll play anything if I'm waiting. Limit Hold'em, Omaha 8 at South Point sometimes. I'll play 2-5 if I'm waiting. It's just all the reasons in that video from last, April or May, when I was speaking Spanish, how much I dislike 2-5, and I don't have an interest in playing it normally. I could play it if something great is going on, but even so, I'm not really in rooms where 2-5 happens a lot. I mean, MGM is uncapped, so if you ignore the blinds, I mean, we're deep. We're deeper than a lot of 2-5 games going on at Bellagio. Bally's has that table occasionally, but I mean, the 2-3 is in the middle. The 2-3 is basically 2-5, if you just forget about what the big blind is. Sahara is match the stack, and it's wild. Trooper Thursday at the Westgate is 500 max. I mean, a lot of people are obsessed with the big blind being 5. A lot of games where the big blind is 2 or 3 now are as deep and have the same pre-flop raise sizes. So there was a time where I cared a lot. In 2016, there was a stretch where I was playing 2-5 more. In 2017, before I moved from Vegas, there was a stretch where about 45% of my hours were 2-5, and then I moved to Council Bluffs, and for 1-3 in Council Bluffs plays bigger than 2-5 at Bellagio, so it didn't matter, in addition to the fact that 2-5 almost never runs in Council Bluffs. And then Council Bluffs started a 2-3 game that was 600 max, so they got a normal game that was playing bigger than most 2-5 games in Bellagio, which was the main place I was playing in 2017. So yeah, no interest in moving up just for the sake of what the blinds are, but I'm looking for great games at, you know, Sahara, great deep games at MGM. Occasionally, about half the time or so, I play Bally's 2-3, about half the time 1-3. So I'm looking for good games, but just sitting at a table because the big blind is 5, I have no interest in that. Johnny asks, how many hours do you play per week or per month when not doing challenges? And a question about days off. Do I just take days off when I feel like it? So I don't know the exact number, but I'll put the amount on the screen, hours per week since starting the channel, since that's a big factor now. I know it's been about 180 per month since starting the channel, not counting like December, January, where I was just back in New York for the holidays. Days off, it's usually like every 8 weeks or so. I take like 5 days off. I play almost every day for about 7-8 weeks, and then I take like 4 or 5 days where I do nothing. But occasionally I like wake up late and there might be like a phone call, or I'm at like the supermarket, and then when I finally have free time, it's like pretty late in the day already, and I just ditch that day. I don't play. So that's how I do it with days off. There's your question, Johnny V. He is asking, what do you do about health insurance? I'm actually planning on making a video. I think his name was Paul, someone early this year in Bally's, a viewer we met, and I was on table 1. I had just gotten there, he was leaving. He asked me to make a video about that. I didn't forget Paul. It's just one of the options that I do not do. I don't have a ton of information about it, so I have to research it because I want to be complete. But there are other options I either do or have looked into. I know a lot more about them, so eventually those videos will come out. Haven't forgotten. So that's it for this first video, this first Q&A session with the answers, but there are definitely more questions, so look forward to another video in a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that. And remember, rice is a spoon food.